guys? It's your boy BlastphamousHD. Now back when I first started doing YouTube and video content creation, I was kicking it with the Viners, just a couple of them, you know what I'm saying? And when I say kicking with them, you know what I mean? I was hanging out around them, I was partying with all of them. And with that being said, one of my favorite best friends I was kicking it with was a Viner called Young Poppy. Dude was hilarious. Met this dude out in Anaheim, California for the first VidCon I ever went to. I had 30,000 subscribers. I had no money. I stayed in a hostel deep in the middle of the biggest forest, the scariest looking forest I've ever been in my life. It's my favorite experience, bro. I ain't never had a better time in my life. But the person I had the most fun with was Young Poppy. Now, people been telling me, apparently Young Poppy did some flu-flammery and he's apparently in jail for life.
Let's do this. Some people are born with comedy in them. They get here with the right voice, face, and anything else that counts as an X factor in comedy. This doesn't mean that those people don't work hard to be famous, but it means that they find their footing easily. One such person is Michael Steen II, aka Young Poppy. Now, Poppy's story is an interesting one because while he steadily rose to stardom, he much more quickly fumbled his success and lives to tell the regret. He very much feels like a real-life example of John Wooden's quote, "Ability may get you to the top, but it takes character to keep you there." So who is Poppy? What did he do to ruin his life? And where is he now? As already mentioned, our story today focuses on Young Poppy. Now, there's a lot of information out there about the time of his life when he was famous.
He's so fit
now! Very little exists in terms of his childhood, other than the fact that he was born on March 25th, 1994 in San Diego, California, went to Chula Vista High School, and has two siblings, a younger and older sister. There's not really much else. Even the sisters' names remained unpublished, and the details of his parents are equally vague or non-existent. He did, however, post a picture on his Instagram account during his 29th birthday in 2022, which shows him and his siblings when they were young, definitely before their teen years. On that same Instagram account, there's also this post and this post of his mother. One of the post captions indicates that she was 52 back in 2018. That's pretty much it in terms of childhood and his family, at least that we could find on the internet. Also, it's a bit interesting that there's no photo of his dad anywhere on his social media, even in this family photo, which seems to be from Poppy's birthday celebration. However, even with this little information about his family, it's easy to tell he has a close relationship with his mother and sisters. This is clear in how he appreciates them in several of his social media posts. For example, this post with the caption, "Please help me wish a happy birthday to my beautiful mom. I love you." Also, the fact that his mother and his sister are currently running his Instagram account, more on that later. Although, could they actually just be appreciating themselves via his account? I mean, think about it. If you were left in charge of your famous Big Brother's Instagram account, would you not be posting birthday wishes for yourself? Anyway, I guess we might not know for now. Let's just assume they're a normal, happy family. And also, somewhere along the way, Poppy worked for FedEx as a package handler and for Pizza My Heart. As we move on to look at how he rose to fame, you first have to know that he was a very ambitious person. As described by a neighbor, he was the type of person who, quote, seemed like he was gonna conquer the world. And this could be indeed true because Poppy had built a large social media following for himself. He had an Instagram account by the name Young Poppy that currently has 1.6 million followers, and another one by the name Keisha Red with about 385,000 followers. Beyond Instagram, he was also active on YouTube, where he currently has approximately 352,000 subscribers and 128 videos. He created this YouTube channel back in 2014 and has had a total of over 33 million views as of today. You clearly don't get such social media numbers without putting in some amount of work. And even more evidence of his hard work and ambition is how fast he rose on Vine. He's among the social media personalities that rose to fame through the 2014 era of Vine. For those of you who may not have heard of it, Vine was an extremely popular social media platform started in 2013, and it basically allowed users to share 6-second long looping video clips. It's basically the millennials version of TikTok.
Yeah.
As a new thing, it gained a lot of traction and was at around 200 million users at its peak. It eventually shut down for failing to generate any money. Anyway, back to Poppy. He became famous particularly by playing a character he invented, Keisha Red, and doing funny videos with witty voicings. He had gotten started on Vine on May 13th, 2015, and grew to a following of more than 2.9 million by the time the app shut down. During the peak, he even managed to join Vine's 1 billion loop club, essentially a cohort of influencers that had gotten over 1 billion loops in total from their content on the platform. Of course, when Vine shut down, he was smart enough to transition to other platforms with his follower base. As a result, his Instagram caught on pretty well. He kept the videos going. And to give you an idea of what he was doing, here's a clip of one of his skits with over 200,000 views on Instagram. And here's another one with over 250,000 views. You can clearly tell that the dude had a natural comic flair, and that's why he seemed to effortlessly build a loyal fan base. Poppy also made some music and began working on a mixtape as early as 2014. In the music, he blended his comedy skills, and this quickly found him an audience. Perhaps the same group of people that found his skits funny. Among his popular songs is If You Want a Burger, which got about 7 million views on YouTube, and is actually still used as a TikTok audio to this day. Going by the comments on the video, the song is still a favorite to many 6 years after its release. He made other tracks, with the first ones being published on iTunes back in 2014. Up to this point, Poppy seems to have been doing fine and holding a promising career ahead of him in social media influence. However, things took a nasty turn. According to his neighbor, Poppy seemed to be a chaotic person, as there would be frequent commotions at his place. The neighbor said, "I would be woken up at 2, 3 in the morning, 4:30. She implied that Poppy would be arguing with his girlfriend and causing commotion loud enough to wake up other people.
He had a girlfriend? When I met him, he was gay.
Specifically in that apartment complex. At the time, it's believed that the girlfriend in question was Raquel Ramcharan. Anyway, while this seems to be a rough lifestyle, it's not what got Poppy on the wrong side of the law. Rather, it was because he was a drug dealer, and even worse, had caused someone's death. The victim, identified in court documents only using the initials MP, was a 33-year-old woman. She died from using pills laced with fentanyl that had been supplied by Poppy. She actually died the same day, July 9th, 2018. It's likely that she had overdosed. Now let's pause here and let that information sink in. But on the other hand, he was dealing life-threatening drugs in his neighborhood in San Diego. According to court documents and investigators, the San Diego Police Department received a call to the victim's home in Ramona on July 10th after she had been found dead. The woman's boyfriend told the investigators that she had smoked heroin and M30 oxycodone pills, and it turns out that those pills were laced with fentanyl. Since the task force had been established with the goal of wreaking havoc on cartels and street distributors, they went ahead and started investigating further. The first place they looked was the dead woman's phone, and in there they found text conversations between her and a guy named Young P. The messages indicated that the woman and Young P had organized to meet up at the woman's workplace with the intentions of her buying oxycodone pills from him. Armed with the name Young P, the investigators went on to look even deeper. They went on social media to research and try to figure out who Young P's real identity was. They came across multiple accounts on different sites under the names Young Poppy, aka Young P, and Keisha Red. They quickly tied the facts together, and everything indicated that both profiles were character personalities portrayed by the same person. This was a clear advancement in their investigation. Next, they landed on a LinkedIn page for Young Poppy, which led them to determine his actual name as Michael Steen, a then 20-year-old who had grown up in Chula Vista but living in San Jose, California. The profile, which seems to have been written when Poppy was age 20, goes on to say, "I have many skills that enhance the skill to act, like not being shy, energetic, fun, social, funny, all around cool, love entertainment and social media, very up to date on entertainment, want to go mainstream one day." The investigators didn't stop there though. They looked further and found an ad on Craigslist from a user named Young P. The ad was for selling narcotics and was listed with the same phone number that Young P had used to communicate with the dead victim. At this point, they pretty much had everything, but they still wanted more proof that it was him dealing the drugs. They thus used the phone number they had found to catch him. They set up an operation to bust him. They had used the number they found on the victim's phone, which was also the same one from the Craigslist ad, and offered to buy oxycodone pills. Seems like he thought it was just one of his regular customers, so he agreed. The sale happened in Poppy's Mercedes-Benz at a parking lot. The undercover officer came in and bought the pills, but once the transaction was completed, he signaled the rest of the team, who came in and arrested him together with his girlfriend, who was also in the car. The officers also searched Poppy's vehicle and found 144 more oxycodone pills. They also found marijuana, scale, and $8,300 in cash. Clearly doing well for being a drug dealer. The court records on the investigation pointed out that he had sold 25 pills, the same ones laced with fentanyl, for $650 to the undercover drug agent. The investigations had run from July, when the woman died, to December, when Poppy got arrested. Naturally, when you get arrested for such an offense, you get thrown in jail and wait for your trial. An interesting turn here is that as he sat in jail, his family swooped in and took over his social media. Not in a bad way though. In what way then? Well, although he was arrested back in 2018, Poppy's main Instagram account has remained active all along thanks to his mother and his older sister. Some of the posts on there have been made as recently as a few days ago, and the posting has been consistent ever since the arrest. It seems they didn't just want him to fall off. And where do his mom and sister get the content to post? Well, they recycled the hundreds of clips that the comedian had already put out since 2013 when he was on Vine. It's really a lot of content, and I don't think they're gonna run out anytime soon. Also, they integrate some fresh messaging in some of the posts. An example is this one here. It's a post promoting awareness against fentanyl, the sort of post you'd see on a charity organization's social media page. And this is a good time to tell you guys what his mom and sister's goal is when it comes to running his social media. From that example post, you can see that it partly reads, "My story of addiction to pills and the impact that fentanyl can have is being used by my team at WWM Impact to help save kids." And it links back to an Instagram called WWM Impact. When you visit that page, it's obvious that it's run for a good cause. The full name of the movement is Walk With Me Impact, and it appears to be meant to help the youth avoid getting into the toxic path of drug abuse. By using Poppy's main account to highlight the issue, it feels like his mom and sister are trying to redeem his image and communicate his change of heart regarding drug dealing and engaging in narcotic activities. This is probably why the caption reads, "My team," suggests that they're working under him. This is actually confirmed by Poppy himself in this audio clip. He made this while in prison and was posted on the page about 10 weeks ago. The caption on the post reads, "This time in prison has truly been a life-changing experience. I wish I could go back in time and fix the great harm I've caused while battling my addiction. Since I can't, please y'all, listen to me and don't fall into the trap of addiction and infliction like me."
Since I've been through so much in these past years dealing with coming and being in prison, I've learned from my mistakes and I've grown from it into a better version of myself. And I feel like God set me down to learn about things differently in my life, preparing me for a bigger plan. And I love who I've become. If I hadn't went through all of this, will I still be this better version of me? I mean, only God knows. So, you know, so to say, would I go back and change anything? I don't know. I really don't know. But, you know, the only regret I really do have is contributing to overdose. You know, that I wish never happened.
In the clip, he doubles down on this and says that in the time he has spent in prison, he's learned from his mistakes and is becoming a better version of himself. He adds that he feels that God sent him down that path to make him learn and also prepare him for a bigger plan. He then admits that his biggest regret is contributing to overdose, and he wishes that it never happened. It actually seems like his heart is in the right place because other than that audio clip you just heard, he has another one pinned on his account. And of course, this means it carries more weight because that's the whole point of pinning something on your Instagram. So what does the second clip say? Well, it's basically him talking about the dangerous nature of fentanyl. In the audio clip, which we can assume was recorded from jail too, he goes on to call fentanyl the most dangerous drug out there right now and argues that it's responsible for a lot of ills, including homelessness and deaths. He then says that the drug is, quote, so addictive, not only to users, but also dealers. Why dealers? Because they are making so much money off the sales. He then admits that he was actually addicted to fentanyl as a dealer and that he could only predict that what would come from it was a tragedy. He urges what we can imagine are other drug dealers to not be selfish and instead care for vulnerable users. Overall, it seems there is an upside to keeping his account going because he actually is pushing a positive message and the account isn't just dead, even though I know his family and people running the account want him free, which eventually will happen. It's nice to know. I think this is the only time we've seen the account that isn't inactive, I guess. Well, it's not inactive. The account be pushing for a good cause. This comment shows a follower expressing hope that Poppy's movement would help reduce his sentence. Going back to his arrest, there was of course great evidence against him and thus Poppy pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute fentanyl. On August 5th, 2020, U.S. District Court Judge Gonzalo Curiel sentenced him to 12 years in federal prison. Poppy was age 25 at the time. It seems law enforcement during the time of his arrest was zeroing in on drug dealers as a way to stop drug overdoses and deaths, and thus made Poppy an example to others. A U.S. attorney, Robert Brewer, did for instance say, "This case should put dealers on notice that every time we have an overdose death, we are going to come looking for you because many lives are at stake." He also added, "If you are selling fentanyl, beware. As today's sentence reflects, you will be held fully accountable for the death and destruction you selfishly caused." Also, the investigations were clearly part of a large operation, as Brewer also mentioned their fight against cartels and street distributors with a promise of pursuing a death sentence to those caught. It is thus no wonder that an assistant attorney in the case, David Finn, had sought a 15-year sentence for Poppy. Yes, they were trying to get him locked up for 15 years. However, Poppy's lawyer, Brian White, had argued that he should get no more than 10 years because he was a promising online sensation with 4 million followers. He literally tried to use Poppy's online clout to squash his chances of a harsh sentence. I mean, he still led to someone's death. Though, to be fair, this is what a lawyer's supposed to do, especially given that besides the 14-year sentence recommendation from a state attorney, the probation department had recommended 12.5 years, aka 150 months. Courts do actually hear out the defense lawyer if their client is maybe a first-time offender or has been an upstanding citizen for the most part. We can thus say Poppy might have just had bad luck getting arrested by a task force that was trying to prove a point. Also, it could be that Poppy's lawyer might have failed to do a good enough convincing. Either way, Poppy ended up with a 12-year sentence. He did, however, get a 1.5-year credit for the time that he had been dealt at Metropolitan Correctional Center since his arrest in December 2018. Interestingly too, Raquel Ramsharon, Poppy's 23-year-old girlfriend at the time, had been sentenced on May 6, 2020. She received credit for the 3-year probation she had already served, and Poppy will be eligible for release in 2029. In the meantime, as we already established earlier in the video, Poppy's trying to redeem his image by doing some positive in his community. Besides his Walk With Me impact team, he's also been doing some commercial engagements. For instance, instance, he was featured in the comic That Dreadheads. We know this because the comic's official Instagram account posted this clip and tagged Poppy's main Instagram page. Also, earlier on, they made a post letting his audience know that he would be featured in the comic. This was during the comic's first launch in February 2022. On their website, they described themselves as a, quote, cannabis social equity brand, using positive artistic expression to bring peace and happiness to the world. I guess it's a cool thing that he still has a kind of active fan base, even for someone in jail. And that's really where the story of young Poppy ends.
Damn. Man, this dude was mad cool, mad fun, mad funny. But yo, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's your boy BlastphamousHD. Twisms.